Okay, Tim, enzymes and probiotics. Number one, can you explain briefly what an enzyme and a probiotic are and why they're so important for our bodies and for our health?
Yeah, awesome. No problem. So enzymes are just so important. I can't even, it's a big topic. We'll try to sum it up here. It's just that every single function in our body requires enzymes.
Okay.
Everything. So nothing happens. So we can get all the micronutrients, the macronutrients, the vitamins, the minerals, the trace minerals. We can get all that stuff. But if there's no enzymes, nothing happens. There's nothing.
So what is an enzyme then?
Well, an enzyme is it's a protein, but more importantly than it being a protein is it's the carrier of electric. So the way I was taught was it's like looking at the shell of an almond, and the shell is the protein, but forgetting about the almond in the middle.
Okay.
Right? So the most important part is the almond in the middle.
Yeah.
And that is the life force. That's the electric potential, the biophoton energy from the sun that's captured. It's in that enzyme. It's life force. So that's why when we left the Hippocrates Health Institute, everybody leaves with like one of these. It's a 3-month supply of these digestive enzymes.
Okay.
One of the reasons is because it helps digest food,
right.
But the second thing is that it literally increases that electromagnetic frequency in and around our red blood cells. Well, why is that a big deal? Well, because we're all energy, and we want our red blood cells to be at 75 hertz. That's the goal. So it's vibrating. It's a high frequency. It's going to have. It's going to create like a shield, and that's going to protect free radical damage, which we know by Dr. Harmon back in the 50s, and he was right. That free radical damage is the causative factor of all disease and premature aging. So if you don't want to get sick and you don't want to age and look like everybody else, then digestive enzymes are going to be a staple in your household. Now, so when I started with these, I would take like 2 a day with meals. So that's typically when people start. You just take them with meals. It liquefies your food and helps you improve digestion. It helps rehabilitate that your peristaltic action as well as you're eating more raw foods in your life.
Most people don't know what peristaltic action is.
Yeah, it's that gut action that's that wave-like motion that moves your food through your body. So they're going to help you digest your food and help you move that food through your body.
Okay.
And at the same time, they're going to be charging your cells and preventing that free radical damage so that you don't age and you don't get sick. They're also great for people in the beginning that have heartburn, for those of you having an acidic lifestyle, hot dogs, pastas, pastries, lots of sugar, wine, stuff like this, very acidic things.
Right.
Enzymes are going to help you. I wish I would have known about it because I had major heartburn for years.
Okay.
And so catalyst of life, digestive enzymes, we need them. Our bodies do produce them, but we just don't produce enough, especially as we get older. So in this polluted world we live in today, more than ever, we need digestive enzymes. So
well, that explains it. Now, what, you want to move on to probiotics then?
Yeah. So probiotics, these things have gotten a lot of traction over the last 10 years, and there's more people are finding out that it's really important. So what we're talking about here is the gut biome, that biofilm that's lining our stomach, our intestinal tract, is basically, and our large intestine is. I look at it as like the sentries, okay, that are protecting us from everything. So your body today, they measured, you got about 100 trillion cells in your body,
okay,
which is amazing by itself just to think about. I mean, the national debt's 20 trillion right now, right?
Yeah.
And it's 5 times that much, it's a big number.
Yeah.
Well, your gut biome, or those bacteria in your gut, are also 100 trillion cells.
Okay.
Right? So just as many as in the rest of your body.
Yeah.
And again, they're the shield that's going to protect you from, stuff coming in like the viruses and the bacteria, the molds and the yeast and the fungus, these mutagens and cancers. And depending on who you talk to, these bacteria represent about 50 to 80% of our immunity or our immune system. So, and what happens is that when we just talked about those chemicals that are rampant today. Man-made chemicals kill the bacteria in your stomach. And the ones that die first are the good ones. The bad ones seem to be a little tougher.
And let me give you an example and ask you about this, because my mother, who's passed away now, she had pneumonia, and they put her on really powerful antibiotics to stop the pneumonia, which ended up giving her C. diff. C. diff is basically an explosion of the bad bacteria in your gut, right?
Yeah.
So something like that product probably would have saved her from maybe even getting C. diff in the first place?
Yeah, so what I would have, it's just tough because Western medicine, there is a use for antibiotics in some certain circumstances. It's the overuse, the misuse, and the abuse of these things.
Right.
And by constantly using them, then when we do need them, they don't work.
Our immune
right?
system's broken
And
down.
yeah, and the whole point is we needed to boost your mom's immune system up.
Right.
Maybe she needed those because she was on the edge and she was going to die, so maybe we need to hit them back. But
Right.
she should have, at the same time, been starting to pound like probiotics.
Right.
Now, if it would have been my mom and she would have been open to it because it's her choice, she's an adult, she
Yeah.
gets to do what she wants. You can't force nothing on anybody, I tell you. I would have looked at something like Sovereign Silver. I would have had her doing that, up the nose, so it went in orally.
Into the lungs.
Yeah, not orally, but into the lungs. That would have bypassed the gut, not killed the bacteria.
Right.
Or we would have intravenously done silver IV into her.
Wow.
That would have been another thing. Also, oregano oil, very powerful.
Yeah.
I would have had her taking oregano oil tablets, garlic tablets, eating raw garlic, also antimicrobial, antifungal.
Okay.
And I would have attacked it with everything I could naturally that's so powerful that it's ridiculous, but it doesn't kill the good bacteria.
Okay.
Right, so that would have been the key. But oil of oregano will kill some of the good bacteria too, so you can't take it for a while. But in an extreme circumstance, I mean, I think it would be better than pharmaceutical drugs in some cases. But
Okay.
loading your mom up with probiotics after the fact would have been a very smart thing to do because the tank was basically emptied of the good stuff.
Okay.
So we need to build it back up. And that's the whole point with when you're talking about probiotics is that knowing that we're always getting blasted by these man-made chemicals, we constantly have to be building back up the good bacteria. I mean, it's just the world we live in today. It's unfortunate. Now, the thing that I learned is that you have these, refrigerated probiotics, and you also have what's called shelf-stable. There's like two versions. And the refrigerated ones need refrigerated because they're very, susceptible to going bad, basically, yeah. And so what do you think happens when you eat these things and they go in your 98.6 degree stomach and then they start dying very quickly? I learned this from a probiotic expert, a guy that owns a lab for 20 years, and he told me, he's like, look, he goes, it might say 50 billion CFUs on the label or 100 billion CFUs, and that sounds like a big, impressive number. That's colony-forming units. But he said, that's at time of manufacture, Tim. He says, by the time it gets to the consumer, in worst-case scenarios, not all, but worst case, it could be as low as 1 to 3 billion.
Okay.
But you think you're buying 50.
Right.
And then it goes through your stomach acid, and he said, worst case, it could be as 100 to 300 million.
Okay.
So you're paying 60, 70 bucks for something, and you might get a little bit of an effect, but it could be so much better.
Okay.
Right? So that's why what we do is we do probiotic spores that are spore-based, so they simply make it through the stomach acid. And they're very powerful. And you have
So
to
they
really
grow and flourish
in the small
once they get into
intestine.
your body. Okay.
Yeah, and they're really, really strong. And these are soil-based bacteria that naturally occur in nature in the soil, and they're also naturally found in the human gut biome.
Okay.
So besides taking these, things you can do for your gut is, sauerkraut and eating kimchi, things like this. Fermented foods can be good, unless you have yeast infections or yeast problems. Then you'd want to stay away from those. But there's also foods like Japanese eat something called natto. I tried it; it's pretty nasty. But my sister-in-law is from Japan and she loves it. So
Okay.
it's just one of those things. So probiotics are really important because they represent somewhere between 50 to 80% of your immune system. And I'm telling you, if you want to be well and healthy and live a long, healthy life, it's all about immunity. You want to build that wall up, that immune system wall, strong so that the viruses and the bacteria and the mold and the yeast can't jump over. And that's just basically what's happening today with chemical pollution, stress, not getting enough nutrition into the body because the soils are farmed out.
Right.
That immune system wall has dropped down and the viruses and stuff are jumping over like crazy.
Okay.
And that's why everybody's getting sick. So probiotics are going to build back up your immune system, and they're critical today for good health.
Awesome. Great answers.
Yeah.